Okay, so let's go ahead and add this other button or icon there, sign out. So that's going to be right after we have our title. So outside, I'm going to add a spacer first because I want to give some sort of space between this title with the icon. So let's give a modifier, in this case width of about 150, and you can play around with this. All right, and next here I'll have to add, of course, this icon, but I have to think about it because remember I'm constructing this reader app bar, which is going to be used in a different places potentially, right? So if there is show profile is true, that means I am on main screen. If that's not true, then I'm not going to have that profile, which means I have to change a few things, right? Some things are not going to be shown there. This here, it's actually going to be inside of our actions, an icon button. And when this is clicked, what I want to do is I want to make sure that we exit or we log the user out. We say Firebase, I'm going to get instance here and say sign out, like this. But I want something else to happen the moment they're signed out, because if we are signed out, we want to go somewhere. I can then say dot run to have this run block here to say, okay, whenever this happens, I want to run this unit of code here. I'm going to say NavController because I have control. I have access to it. I'm going to navigate. Oops. Let's make sure that we get the correct one. Navigate to here. I'm going to say reader screens. I'm going to go back to our login screen as such. Very well. So inside, of course, of our button, let's go ahead and add this icon there. Now, there are different ways to do this. Now, I can add an image here and then go to our resource troubles and invoke an icon such as this, okay? Which means then I have to go and find an icon like this online somewhere and then add it to my project, which is fine. But there's a different way to do so. We can actually import or have an icons dependency, which will allow us to have more icons than when we say like these icons. These are icons that come with Android X, right? And say default, for instance, and we want to get something that says logout. If we have something, but in this case, because these icons are limited, because icons take a lot of space in your project, so when the project is created, Android Studio doesn't dump all of the icons possible into our icons library dependency. So we will have to actually add that dependency to have all of those icons, at least most of the icons anyway. So let's comment this out. Let's go to our build.gradle. And I'm going to add this dependency here that you should have repo of this code. You should have access to it. So I'm going to just add here. Now, one of the things to remember is that if you add this dependency of material icons extended, which has a lot of icons, it will weigh on your project. So I think it's about 18 megabytes, which is a lot. So some people don't recommend you to add all of the material icons to your project because that's a lot of space. That's a lot. But in this case, we're going to use it. But just keep that in mind that it's a lot of icons that will be added to your project, which will make your project a little bit heavier. All right, get out of here, go back to reader home, and let's see. So now I can say something like this, icons, and I can say default, or I can even say field, right? And I want, let's see if we can get, if I say menu, for instance, look, I can get all these different material icons. That's very good. But we don't want that. We want, let's say, log out, maybe. Log out. There it is. Very good. So we have access to that. All right. Let's actually add, instead of an icon like this, and get this icon log out. And this should be better. And this is going to be log out. Okay. Let's go ahead and run this real quick and see. All right, let's go ahead and run this real quick and see. Okay, there we go. This is nice. We have that button. Notice that if I go ahead and click right now, it should go ahead and get signed out and take us to login screen. Okay, let's go ahead and click, and voila. Now we're signed out and we're out.